Hello everyone, my name is Joe Lorusso and I'm running for controller of Chester County. The reason I'm running is because I think Chester County is at a crossroads and we have to make a choice between the current tax, spend, and borrow government that we have now versus a more efficient government, a government that will look to reduce expenses and reduce taxes to make Chester County thrive. And I think Chester County has unimaginable potential that is not being realized, but we could realize it. It's within reach. Let me just tell you quickly about who I am, my philosophy, and I will go from there. Um, I believe that you should keep your money, not to fund executive hiring and waste. And we'll go into what they've been doing with your money. I unashamedly reject excess taxes and corrupt spending. I loudly say no to the current go along to get along mentality and the silencing of voices by threats of bigotry and things of that nature as an attempt to silence voices. I firmly believe in freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and freedom of enterprise. And I think governments at every level must support that without any apprehension or hesitation. I will get government back to live within its means. Chester County's government must live within its means and lightens everyone's tax burden. We shouldn't have families and seniors agonizing about paying property taxes every year. That's a travesty. I support apprentice programs for our youth and helping our most needy in our communities. I believe in encouraging entrepreneurs, supporting local businesses, and keeping families and our youth here to live and thrive in Chester County. That is within reach if we change our government policies. So let me be a little more specific. I have 6 issues that is undermining Chester County's potential. One is the expanding government. Payroll is running in a deficit. They hastily increased the tax increase by 13.47%, which was a historic tax increase. They hired a new executive branch, which is an unelected, unaccountable executive branch that only reports to the commissioners, not taxpayers. They hired a CEO, Chief Executive Officer, which is a guy who worked in Vegas. They are now hiring a chief experience officer, which is absurd, and it's someone that's basically going to be their campaign manager for their 2027 election. It's a person that's supposed to make you feel good about living in Chester County. It's a red flag. It's dangerous. That executive branch is costing us over $500,000. It's newly created. We are also living on borrowed money. The COVID and American Rescue Plan money is gone, and there's no thought process of how we're going to replace that because they built an infrastructure around that for the last 4 years. Fixed costs have gone up dramatically, and now the money is gone. Not only is it being gone, but grants, which make up 40% of our budget, 40% of our budget is by grants from the federal and state. That's being cut. It's being reduced by the new administration. That's their policy. This Westchester crowd had no plan for that, no plan at all, and therefore it's creating a real crisis in Westchester government, Chester County government, that they're trying to hide from you. And in light of that, they increased capital expenditures by 34%. It's unsustainable. It's for projects that we don't need. And you know how they're funding it? They're borrowing like crazy in the market. So here you have a government that's spending like crazy, big government bureaucracy, and now their only lever is to raise taxes or borrow heavily, which is what they're doing, and they will continue to do if we don't change the election and people who are in office. In light of that, our tax base is slowing down. Even the rating agencies cite that in their report. Chester County has grown from about a 1.5% to 2%. In 2025, the projection is it will be less than 1%. It's a maturing county. We don't have the dramatic growth anymore. Yet this government in Chester County is expanding at an unreasonable and unsustainable pace. It's dangerous. The last issue, the 6 points, is they plan to borrow almost $80 million over the next 5 years. Now that's in their budget plan because they have to fill holes. They want to do these projects. Come hell or high water, they're going to do these projects, and the only way they could do it is by selling debt. Now, you and I can't live off credit cards and loans forever. At some point, you have to pay them back. Neither could governments, neither could Chester County. At some point, this massive debt load they're saddling us with has got to be paid back. But that's 10 years from now. So they're kicking the can down the road to another group, another generation. I think it tears the fabric that holds our communities together because they're going to be tax increases are inevitable going forward unless we do some common sense policies and unless we change the personnel over there. So this is my fear. This is what's going on in Chester County. I've lived in counties where taxes have gone up, and people eventually say enough. Let me look someplace else where I could live my life and I don't have the government in my pocket constantly and every year. I did an analysis for an example. If your house is $500,000 assessed value, you're paying almost an extra $1,000 a year in taxes. Now, have you received, and $300,000, it's about 600, $100,000, it's about 300. What did you receive? I asked this question. Did you receive? Are you better off paying this extra money this year to Chester County than you were in 2024? Did you see any discernible changes? I haven't. It's just feeding a government that's inefficient, that's mismanaged, that needs to change, or else we're going to be in deep trouble. Here's my solutions, and let's get together. Here's what the solution is. The 8 points, very quickly. I would eliminate the new executive branch, save $500,000. It's absurd. Ensure that the payroll spending cannot exceed taxes collected. Right now, even with the increase, all taxes collected are $212 million. $212 million they collect. You know what the payroll is? $220 million in 2025. There's an $8 million deficit. Just as a side note, if they didn't increase taxes by 13.47, it would have been a $35 million deficit. That's why they panicked. It's an absurd way to run anything, a business, a household, a government. And I call this next one competition versus corruption. I could save $5 to $10 million. There's a competitive bidding process in Chester County. However, lawyers are exempt, professionals are exempt, it's mostly lawyers. Commissioners, any department head could hire a law firm of their choosing with no limits, no restrictions, and they do. And lo and behold, it now goes to people who make the biggest donations to the party and to the candidate. And our retired commissioner, Michelle Kirkland called that out, and she said, this is dangerous. I looked into it. It's very dangerous. There's no restrictions, and they're hiring people who are connected. So I say I would throw that out, and I would say lawyers need then to compete for our business. I would cancel all credit cards. There's so many people in Chester County that have credit cards, it's absurd. Chester County credit card. The prothonotary had to resign because it was disclosed that she was using it excessively for personal goods. I assure you she's not the only one doing it. I assure you of that. I would cancel it. If you have an expense, you submit a receipt with a voucher with receipts, and it gets paid. And I require that all contractors in Chester County hire our youth for apprenticeship. In other words, we do a lot of projects, we fund projects with our money, and I would require these companies to hire our young and teach them a trade, teach them electric, teach them construction, teach them plumbing. And places like Coatesville, Parksburg, Oxford, Spring City that need help. And this, I assure you, some of these young people will go on to start their own businesses, and they will hire and they will stay in our communities. And I will create an environment where Chester County citizens could thrive. Entrepreneurs, encourage entrepreneurship. Existing businesses, let's support them. Let's tell people about what they do. And I would support hardworking families and seniors. And how do you do that? You reduce tax burden, you respond to their request, you cut the red tape, and you let them get out of their way and let our citizens be productive and realize that unimaginable potential in Chester County. That's how you do it. I would also fund programs for our most needy first. Uh, Senior programs where they rely on that, meal programs for children that we fund, individuals and families suffering from the disease of drug and alcohol abuse that need our support. Instead, what they're screaming is fear-mongering. They're saying, well, those programs would have to be cut because grants are being cut by the federal and state, so those people are going to suffer. Nonsense. To hell with that. That's not the way you run a business. You run a government. You take care of the most needy first and cut these nonsense programs that you have, these pet project programs. There'll be more than enough to fund these programs. I would be strong and advocate on all these issues. And finally, I would propose that we establish a budget review board, which would be made up of every township, borough in the county, where one person would be either elected or appointed by local people to form a board and review the budget annually. Because right now, there's no review. Basically, the commissioners get some information from each department head, and then they do what they do. There's no overview. There's no veto. There's no review. They have public review, but you and I know that's nonsense. They don't listen to the public when they speak about the budget. They've already decided, they already did their work, and they just pass it. There's no review, there's no checks and balances. I would have this board to be a check and balance, and I would give them teeth. They would have veto rights, so you have to listen to the local people. And this I would propose to put in our charter and make it a law. These are the things that need to be done to save Chester County on this path of tax, spend, and borrow that will inevitably lead to bad things. It'll tear at the fabric of our community, and inevitably people will start looking to other areas. We got to stop that. It's got to stop now. So please vote for New Voices. Vote for Joe Lorusso and the rest of my team, my road team, Deanna Wang as treasurer. We have a great people at every level to get this done, but we have to do it now. If we get 4 more years of this, it's going to be a disaster, frankly. So be part of the solution. Be part of this movement to get Chester County back where it should be, and let's realize its potential, unimaginable potential. We have wonderful people. We have the beauty of the landscape. Let's make it that shining county in Pennsylvania that we could be. So thank you for listening, and thank you for your vote.